and we work really in Queens, Brooklyn, Long Island, Yonkers, and actually we can help you in all 50 states with a great referral network too. So just want to say hi and thank you for being here.
And next is Anthony Russo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Russo. I'm a real estate attorney. I've been practicing over 30 years. I represent people buying property, selling property, or a bank lending on properties, anything that touches upon real estate. Cover all over New York, pretty much New York City, all Long Island, even up into Westchester. So regardless of where it's located in New York, I can help.
And next, and not least, is my favorite, Joe Castagna. I always mess up his name and butcher his last name. Castagna.
Thank you, Evans. Joe Castagna from Contour Mortgage. Been lending for about 23 years now. Fortunately, we're a preferred lender with Keller Williams, Dean and Evans team. We could lend in any state that you're looking to purchase, and any type of loan program that's available out there.
All right, so I want to get this started. The whole purpose of this, the theme, because it's Teachers Week, Teachers Appreciation Week, we wanted to do something specifically for teachers. And also this is open to anyone else basically who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. But we wanted to focus, shed some light on the teachers, educators, anybody in the school system. We want to first off say thank you for your service. Thank you for your constant dedication to helping the next generation bloom into the future of all of us, actually. So I'm gonna let each one of the gentlemen, give some appreciation to the teachers, or if you have any stories of a teacher that pretty much helped you become who you are right now, feel free to share. So Dean, you want to go first?
Yeah, I too want to thank all the teachers. I know it's a tough job. You're dealing with kids, families. It's not just the kids in the class, it's everything that goes on that gets these kids into the classroom. It's them doing their homework, it's everything. And it's a huge responsibility for having the students, keeping them interested, entertained, and educated. I think the three things have to happen for them to want to continue to listen and learn. And thank you for that.
Joe?
Yeah, I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate that profession. My middle daughter just became a biology teacher in high school, and it opened my eyes to how much work is involved after school's over, and dealing with a lot of politics as well. So I could appreciate that profession a lot more than I did as a kid.
Anthony?
Yeah, same sentiments. Definitely thanks to all those teachers out there and everyone in those supporting roles that get our kids through everything. And we deal with clients every day, most of whom are motivated, and it's a tough business. Imagine dealing with kids who are not motivated and having to do that. So I definitely can appreciate that. And again, thank you, everyone.
Sure.
All right, and I'm Evanson. I just want to say, like I said before, thank you to all the teachers. There's been a lot of teachers that influenced me over the years. All of them pretty much, I'd say I gained some knowledge basically from everything that they taught me over the years. Some of it took a little longer than it should have, but basically it did click eventually, just like when my parents were teaching me stuff. It took me a while for it to click, but we're here to talk about real estate. Anthony, you have your hands up. You want to?
No, I know. I must have just did it. My apologies. Sorry.
No problem. So we're going to talk about real estate. So conversation that we want to have is pretty much, we're talking about buying, we're talking about selling, we're talking about investing, we're talking about pretty much making a generational wealth for you and your family. So one of the things I wanted to talk about first was pretty much buying and selling at the same time, which is, some people find it taboo, but it is doable. So I'm gonna leave this open to you basically. For a teacher that's thinking they're selling their home and they're buying another home, whatever the situation is, whether they're getting married, they inherited a property, or whatever the situation is, what's the first steps?
Okay, well, first step is understanding the challenge and how we can help you out with that, because you have timing of everything and you also have the realities of the market. So understanding the challenge means for whatever reason you're moving, say you're just moving from a bigger house to a smaller house, or whatever it's going to be, a smaller house to a bigger home, or a condo to a house. You have to be realistic in what's out there for you to buy, so that you know that you have plenty of options and you're not just looking at this one home which you love, but you can't do anything today because your home is not sold. So we go through the financial opportunities that are there. When I sit down with clients that are doing this, I have to be very, very clear. as far as what the market is, how it presents itself right now. And you would have to be also understanding and agreeing with the market, meaning if there's limited homes available, but you can get 90% of what you want, then that's fine, as long as you have options and there's homes hitting the market every week. In the spring, there's always a lot of homes hitting the market and a lot of opportunities that are there. One of the other things to look at is the contingencies, meaning what comes first? Do I find my home or do I list and sell my home first? Well, if you sell your home, you need somewhere to go. And then just think of reverse it. If you're getting somewhere to go and you have to sell your home, nobody's going to hear you until that home is sold. So you can do both at the same time. And it's having the knowledge and the education and working with a realtor or myself or Evantz, someone who will help you understand what the expectations are in the market. And we look for homes while you're listing and selling your home. Now, the other thing is with the seasoned realtor, what the expectation is that when somebody's making an offer on your home, they're going to get vetted also, not just for the dollar amount. They might offer you a high number, but if they need to close quick or their timing doesn't align with yours or they're under some kind of pressure time-wise, maybe that's not the best situation, because you need someone who's flexible on the incoming sale in a sense, so that you can find your proper home on the other side. So timing is a big part of that. The other thing is just like the emotional part of it. I mean, it is a big responsibility. And again, that's why you work closely, with the right agent, with the right team, with the right lender for your financing on the other side, with the right attorney, so that you're properly represented with the home that you're selling. So there's no pressure to have to close before you found something, and vice versa. It's just going to be an expectation of the home that you're selling and an expectation of the home that you're buying. The other thing is to create a timeline for yourself, which is very important. How soon do you want to do all of this? If you put your home on the market on Friday, there are chances you'll get offers on Monday. So that's why before you actually do that, and I just mean a little bit before, get yourself very educated so that when the reality comes in, we know what we're dealing with and we don't do it on the fly. We do it, we do it together as we go along with that. But that's most of it. It's the realtor communicating with the other agents, the buyers and sellers on both sides, the attorneys on both sides, and everybody. So I feel when these happen, it's kind of like a quarterback role to some degree. And then you hand it off to the proper professionals, but you need to start with a plan that's cohesive and understood by yourself and by everybody, and realistic.
All right, Dean, on that same topic, could you discuss when someone's selling here and they're going to another state, how important it is to have a dialogue with the other state agent or whoever they're involved with?
Oh, okay, that's a great point. Okay, New York closings they use the language on or about. That means like kind of next month or kind of the following month. It's a 30-day window, technically. And in other states, we'll take any other state. We'll just take New Jersey, our neighbor. They say you go and buy a home and make an offer and get your offer accepted. Let's say you do that today on May 8th. They're going to tell you where your closing is June 21st. It's at 3 o'clock. It's at this title company's office. And that's that. And that's the expectation. So New York is open-ended with the 30-day window. New Jersey, Florida, where people move to anywhere else, Texas, it's a firm date. So with that said, if you're going to be moving to another state, it's very important that we get in touch, that you help us get in touch and open the lines of communication with the real estate professionals that you're using or working with in those states, so that we can help them understand what's going on in New York. And we can, that's really it. They have to understand what's going on in New York, because we're, I think, one of the only states that operates in one manner, and most of the other states operate in this exact firm date manner. So that's all with that, just communication.
All right, on that same topic, Anthony, could you talk about the real estate, legal aspect, basically from state to state, or just in general, they're using you to sell and also to buy?
So, I mean, Dean did a very good job of explaining, the proper approach to the situation when you have a conversation with the agents, a conversation with the other state agent, wherever you're buying, a conversation with the parties involved so that we line up with the timing, conversation with the bankers to make sure that, the rate and everything is set up properly for the extended amount of time in order to close both deals. But I think the big question that everyone's going to ask is, if I go to buy something first in New York State, can I buy something that's contingent on me selling my home? And I have to tell you, that's not the case. Usually 99% of the times, no one is going to agree to sell you your house, sell you their house, excuse me, only if you sell your own house. Almost every contract that I see has standard language that says that you're buying this house irrespective of whether you have another property to sell. And if for some reason you do have another property and it doesn't sell, that is not an excuse for you to get out of this contract. So most times when you're buying another property, you're going to wind up taking some risk, signing a contract to buy a property that's not contingent on you selling, but knowing that the market is active and knowing that if you price your property and properly and deal with professionals that are attentive to your needs and good at what they do, they will set you up such that you can go into contract to buy and then go and put your house up for sale and try to match those dates up as close as possible so that there's no overlap or shortage where you have to leave, move out of your one house before you can get into the new one. So when you deal with experts who are good at what they do, I must say, like us, we all can coordinate those things and do a great job of making it as seamless as possible. Definitely comes with some risk, but unfortunately, it's unavoidable, especially in New York.
All right, Joe, similar topic, but on your mortgage side, let's say someone's selling and buying at the same time. They might have extra funds basically to purchase it without getting another mortgage, or sometimes they're not sure about that. Obviously, they need to have a consultation. So walk us through that with your process.
So you definitely need to have a consultation with a lender like ourselves, especially if you own a property right now. You want to know, well, I would want to know if A, they could qualify for both houses simultaneously, because that's the best scenario where they could do whatever they want, whenever they want, meaning they don't have to sell to buy, or they don't have to make arrangements with the house that they're currently living in. Another scenario would be if they own the house, they want to buy, and they don't qualify for both. We can use rental income on their current home to offset that housing expense to help them qualify for their next house. But if that house goes on the market for sale, we can't use rental income to help them qualify. So you definitely have to have a consultation. Another thing that we could do is, I just came across this the other day. I have a gentleman that owns a house free and clear. He wants to purchase another house to move into, but he's not ready to sell his current house. You could do a bridge loan. It's a home equity line of credit on your existing house. You could buy the other house with that money. As soon as you sell your current house, it gets paid off. So there's no prepayment penalty. So there are a lot of options, and you need to have the consultation to help you set it up in a timely fashion, like everybody's talking about, with an out-of-state having a faster closing than New York. You just want to be prepared. You can't go into this, blindly.
All right, Joe, with that being said, how long does your consultation normally take?
Well, a consultation is normally a half an hour, because really all I need to see is credit scores, income, and any money that's going to be used in the transaction.
And your consultations, how are you usually set up? Are you face-to-face, Zoom, phone call?
I mean, the best way to do it would be face-to-face, in person, but obviously everybody's busy. Time is a problem. It could be Zoom, it could be through the email, just scanning the documents over to me. Let me put everything together and then get on the phone and have a conversation.
Same question for you, Anthony.
Usually a consultation can be in person or over the phone, whatever anyone prefers. These days, since COVID, a lot of that dialogue has been taking place over the phone or by Zoom. So either way, but to discuss the needs of someone before a contract, it probably is 15, 20 minutes or less than a half hour. Once a contract is in place, the setup of that contract and the next contract is a little more time consuming. So, again, that's where we could sit down and go over them probably a good hour to guide them through the first contract of selling and the contract of buying, or how it's going to play out.
All right, so Dean, I'm gonna give you the same question. I've been working with you for several years. I already know what your answer is, but I want the audience basically to know
All
what
right.
your answer is.
Well, thanks. My pre-qualification is, or consultation is part of a pre-qualification, making sure that you're good to sell, that you understand what the process is, and ready, willing, and able to do that. So there's a series of questions that I ask on the phone. It's 12 questions. It doesn't take not even 10 minutes. And the reason I ask them, and it's just to fully understand what your scenario is. The more I know about what got you on the phone with me or made you look at, a real estate move, the better I can help you. So that's just about 10 minutes on the phone. Then I do put together a pre-listing package of information. I'll either hand deliver it, FedEx it, or email it to you, whichever you prefer. I ask that you spend 15 minutes and review that. So we're up to a half hour. And then I'll come and see you. I like doing the appointments face to face. If you're local and you're selling your home, I can see the house also. That takes about 30 minutes. So the whole process is really only an hour. If you're out of state, then that last piece is Zoom.
All right, you pretty much answered all the questions about that. So I think our next subject we're going to talk about pretty much when you're purchasing for the first time. I'm seeing a few people here. For the people who are watching right now, if you have any questions, the Q&A button on the bottom, just click on the Q&A, just put your questions there and we'll answer them live while we're speaking. And also in the chat, you'll see our contact information so you can contact us later when you have other questions or if you like that, set up a consultation. All right, so our next conversation, let's talk about buying for the first time or helping your kids buy. So whoever wants to take this one first.
I mean, I would say the most important thing to do as a first-time home buyer is to get pre-approved by a lender to see what you qualify for, what you're comfortable with. Because let's face it, you guys in the real estate side, you don't want to talk to anybody that's not pre-approved. So
It's
the first
not
thing,
that we don't want to talk to them. It's basically realistically, we don't want you to have your hopes up basically for a specific price range and find out basically when it comes down to what you actually spend monthly and you're like, oh my God, sticker shock.
well, let me rephrase it. A real estate agent's gonna ask you, are you pre-approved? As the first question, probably before, what's your name,
Yeah,
right?
guilty.
So my point is, the first thing you want to do is reach out to somebody like myself, hopefully it's me, to see what you're approved for, what your options are, what the interest rates are, what your monthly payment is, how much money am I going to need in this transaction, and go through a series of scenarios that you're going to feel that comfortable and qualify.
All right, being that is Teachers Appreciation Week, Joe, any programs that you want to talk about that be specific for teachers that they could apply for that might be something meaningful for them?
Sure. So on a first-time home buyer program, there's no application and processing fee. Most of our programs that are in-house through Contour, we're going to waive our application and processing fee, which is about $1,200.
All right, every little bit that you can save basically does help. With that, you got your pre-approval. I always suggest to my clients, you sit down with a realtor and you have a conversation, open, honest conversation, put everything on the table, what your needs and wants are. And we have two ways of doing this. We have the initial conversation on the phone, but the consultation we should have either Zoom or face to face, whatever you're comfortable with. But we have to get that message across to find out what you're looking for. And we go through the whole process of what you're going to expect and what we can expect from you as our client. And you have to hire an agent. Right now, you have to hire an agent. So we'll go through that whole process of what you should be looking at when you're hiring an agent. The other thing I would suggest, I always bring this up, whenever you're sitting down with a realtor or a lender, you have to build a team. Your team is going to consist of yourself, your realtor, your loan officer, your real estate attorney. I'm going to stress that a lot. Real estate attorney. I'm going to let Anthony explain why I keep bringing this up. Dean knows, Joe knows, we all know why. So why do I stress that they need to have a real estate attorney? Whoever wants to take this one.
I will, if you don't mind. I'll start.
Okay.
Again, There's many good attorneys out there, but just like a doctor, if you have a problem with your heart, you're going to see a heart specialist. You don't go to a foot doctor and hope they do the right job on the heart. They may have been trained in heart at some point. They may do a good job, and maybe 9 out of 10 times it'll be fine, but that's not what you do. And remember, when you buy a house or sell a house, it's probably one of the biggest transactions most people do in their lifetime. Maybe they do it twice. That's great. But go to someone who, one, specializes in that field, whether it's me or someone else. That's first, and someone who's going to give you the professionalism, the time and dedication that it needs to navigate through all of these circumstances that we're speaking about, maybe selling and buying at the same time. And listen, every transaction has bumps, I tell my clients, whether it be title issues or boundary line issues or fence issues or old mortgages or liens or sometimes open permits or applications with the city of New York or violations against the property that someone doesn't know about, old mortgages that from a prior owner. These things come up and they take time. And if you don't address them in a timely fashion, they delay everything. They delay your rate that you locked in with your lender. They delay your timing of your sale. They delay the timing of your purchase. So we speak all the time about the importance of a good team. I can't say it enough. Evans, you hit upon it. Good realtor who's going to protect your interest and guide you properly. A good attorney who's going to coordinate with your realtor and your lender and title company. A good banker, loan officer who's going to work with your attorney, knowing the timelines and not work on their own timeline. They're going to try to match up with everything. So having a good team, experts in the field, especially with attorneys, and there are many attorneys who will say, sure, I could do a real estate transaction because they think it's simple, which it really is not. And they also think that they could do it on the side of their other business, which some attorneys are in court all day and try to do real estate when they have time. It's not how it should be, especially, again, as I said, one of your biggest transactions. So definitely pick experts in the field and someone who specializes in real estate only.
One other thing I wanted to add is pretty much when you're doing condos and co-ops, especially co-ops, you want somebody who specializes, a real estate attorney who specializes in co-ops. And without saying too much, Anthony already hit it on the head already. You want somebody who's day in, day out, because if it's an attorney who does it part-time or sometimes and not all the time, they might miss some crucial stuff and that might cost you money. And we don't want to see you lose money or have money thrown out the window. So that's why we always stress, make sure it's a real estate attorney that you're dealing with. So because they know the ins and outs, they know what a contract looks like, and they're not going to stay hung up on a certain item on a contract, which it could delay it. And basically, guess what? You might lose that property and it might go to someone else. Dean, as a listing agent.
I just want to say one thing on that. There's also, I mean, if you're somebody that, if the calendar means something to you and you're working with someone who's not a real estate attorney and you're dealing, let's say, with the co-op, we just had a situation, no details. I'm just telling you, the attorney was learning on the job. And while he was learning, days and days and days and days were going by and the client was not benefiting. Seller, it wasn't our seller, it was our buyer, but the seller who we don't know, but the seller was not benefiting. Our buyer was not benefiting, and a whole crew, in a sense, the co-op also, just shaking their head over what wasn't happening because the person didn't understand the process for a co-op.
All right, we do have a question that just came up. This one's for Joe. This is regarding is the fee waived for the scenario specific to educators, or is that usually for all of your clients? I believe that was regarding one of the programs that you were mentioning.
So at Contour Mortgage, we have a program, Home for Heroes. I do a lot of union loans, and we have an alliance with Northwell Health. So what I do for teachers is I put them in the same category, and that would come from Contour, the discounts. It's not waived for everybody. It's waived for people that are in a union, and we would classify you not as a first responder, but we would give you the same benefit.
Okay.
All right, Dean, as a listing agent, what do you look for basically at the offers that come in from the buyer's agent? And without saying too much, with what you're looking at and what you're looking for to address that to your sellers.
Well, the sellers look at the number, the top line number as the first thing that they look at, and so do I. Except with that, we have to make sure that what's behind it can move forward. So we look at the pre-approval, but then we question the loan officer and we call the lender and make sure that everything is valid, current. I mean, when people are W-2 salaried, something like that, a lot of times if it's a fireman and a teacher, we kind of have an idea what the income is. And we kind of have an idea that this is most likely okay. When somebody is self-employed under 2 years, or possibly in a cash business or something else, we dig deeper, and sometimes we ask for documents, proof of funds, proof of income, stuff like that. The other thing that we look at is if somebody is making an offer on your home above where it may appraise for. Sometimes we price the home right at the top of the market, and that's based on what other sales are doing right now or what the comparables are. So if this offer comes in above that, we want to make sure that the buyer has the funds to cover the excess. So, excuse me. So if you're offering $50,000 over the price, you're going to need that 50 grand plus your regular down payment and closing costs. So we want to make sure that that's all understood, that their attorney is on board with that, possibly waiving the appraisal contingency and stuff like that. We also look at the timing, see what their time is. If they have something that they're selling, if they're selling a co-op, which takes a long time possibly, and they're buying your home and you're on a time frame, that may not align. That just might, there's no guarantee, even if they have a buyer, that the board will approve their co-op. Their buyer. So, all kinds of stuff. It's not just the top line number. It starts with that, but it digs much deeper.
I'm glad you brought that up about digging deeper. When I'm having a consultation with my buyers, I tend to ask a lot of questions, a lot of thorough questions to find out their time frame, which is very important to see when we are looking at homes. And when I'm asking questions to the listing agent to see what the time frame is for the sellers, we want to make sure that it aligns also to what you're looking for also. And it's not always a great thing to say, basically, we can move in right away. It's basically, we got to see what the seller's time frame also is. That's one of the things that we've learned over the years. The other thing with buying, we forgot to mention the home inspection basically is very important also. So that's part of your team as well. If you don't have a home inspector, you always reach out to your agent. The agent will most likely have a list of professionals that you can work with. Always, ask questions, whether it's your real estate attorney, whether it's your loan officer, or you're trying to get a referral from one of us, one of the people that you're speaking to, you're building your team. You want to get a referral basically from your referral team, from your team itself. When you do that, you know that basically this person has a relationship, they worked with this person before, and you know that basically you can count on them for their professionalism. You're going to ask the vital questions. How much is your fee, for the attorneys, for the home inspectors, for all the other ancillary people? You're going to reach out to them and ask them those questions. But the main thing is, whether you're a first-time buyer or a second-time buyer, you ask what other questions are. If you're not sure what your questions you should be asking, reach out to your agent, reach out to your attorney, reach out to your loan officer, your home inspector, whoever it is. Reach out to them and ask them those questions of what you should be asking for the other referral source that you might be working with. All right, so Dean, what do you want to talk about next? You want to talk about investments, what they should be looking out for investments, or what do you want to stick with the seller side?
I like the seller side, but I just want to say something on investments. One thing with this, it's very hard to time the market. So that I will give you. I always tell people, I say, well, when's a good time to invest and when's a good time to buy or sell? And I'll just start with what's right for you. Forget the market for a moment. When is it right for you? So it has, if it's not right for you, it doesn't matter what the market's doing. If it's totally right for you, you'll find a way to make the market work for you somehow. Whether it's moving farther out east on Long Island, or it's investing in New Jersey versus New York, or maybe Florida versus New Jersey, whatever something like that might do, because markets are different all over the country. Like right now, people are selling homes in New York where home prices are extremely, elevated. I'm sorry to say it to the buyers out there, but they see that for themselves. Home prices have gone up in New York. I was looking at an investment in Florida, and every single week I see minus $10,000 on the homes that I'm looking at. So it makes me not want to do anything. So yeah, here I go. I'm a hypocrite, timing the market a little, but but markets are different everywhere. The thing with having an investment property, I'll speak for myself right now versus like stock market stuff. I feel like the stock market is so all over the place right now, and I don't want the stuff to disappear. But I feel like with a home, with an investment property, it's brick and mortar. I can see it. So that's just where my mindset is with this stuff, because I was never a real estate investor. Other than my own home, I never invested in real estate. I just had real estate that, that I lived in and used. And but I just have this thing with me now that if I can see it, feel it, touch it, it won't disappear. In the stock market, it's hot and cold. So that, everyone has their own reason for wanting to do something at a moment. The only other thing I just wanted to say with real estate investing is look at what some of the states' laws are also. If you're counting on rental income, certain states, like kind of the one that we live in right now in New York, are pretty strict with, tenants' rights versus your rights as an owner. So you have to learn that. I can help you with that. Anthony can, Joe can, Evans can, real estate professionals can help you with that. You can also do some of your own research also just on states' laws, so that if you do have to get out of a rental situation, you should have the state should help you with that or not get in your way of that. And that's kind of what I have to say with that. Oh, the other thing, it's building generational wealth also. I mean, real estate over, you don't look every year. Look at what everything's done every 3 or 5 years, go 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50. And all you see is it's a lineup. There's certain lines, some years it moves down a little bit, but all in all, real estate has been an amazing investment. For anybody that's bought a home 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, look at your parents or your family members or people or grandparents that might have bought a home, in Brooklyn for $17,000. And not even tremendously long ago, like maybe like 1982 or something, and they're selling it for like $1.5 million now. I mean, all the wealth came from, an investment that might not have seemed like much when your grandparents were young. So
there's a couple topics that you just kind of hit on I wanted to go to. The first one I would say, for the people who are purchasing in another state, if you're thinking about renting it out, you're thinking about doing an Airbnb, whatever the other companies are, basically, you'll definitely want to make sure those specific states, those specific towns, that basically what their rules are for that kind of investment, that kind of property. So you want to make sure you read all the fine print, have your lawyer look through your, whatever you're considering, talk to your lawyer. And also financially, you want to talk to your lender. Are there specific programs to purchase a property in another state? Joe, what states are you licensed in?
I'm licensed in New York and New Jersey, but we have team members that are licensed in every state. So in other words, I can handle the transaction from beginning to end in any state.
One thing I would say is basically be like Anthony's cat. Just be everywhere. Focus on what's happening and just keep your eyes and ears. The cat is interested in this conversation.
I keep her away. I don't know why but she is. So
She
sorry,
wants
guys.
to know more about real estate.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Look, it's
Did
a
you
curious
notice
cat.
that cat didn't distract me at all?
No, it did not. But basically, that cat is interested. I want our audience to be interested in this topic, especially when we're talking about generational wealth. Start thinking along the lines. If you have kids already out in college, like most of these gentlemen are here, basically their kids are out of they're in college or out of college, and you're empty nester, and you're considering, all right, you know what, the kids are out. We don't need this huge house anymore. It might be time to consider jumping on the field, just like the cat, jumping on the field. Maybe we should sell this house, take the money, and start investing in other properties and just start traveling and enjoying our lives and whatnot. And it's a conversation you should have with your spouses, with whoever your significant others are. The other topic I wanted to talk about is pretty much when we talk about generational wealth. Sometimes, especially we've been doing this for long enough where we've been seeing this coming up a lot, where people do not plan ahead and they pass away and there's not a will, there's not a trust. These things come up a lot. I preach this to the moon. Please have the conversations with your significant others. It would avoid a lot of stress between your family members, the ones that are left behind, that have to pick up the pieces and put everything together. So I'll leave this open to anybody basically who wants to discuss this part.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll chime in. I mean, I don't do it myself, but I have a team, a partner, let's say, that does it. Every one of my clients, after they buy a home, it's definitely an important piece to have. Like I have life insurance, you should have, there's 3 legal documents. Again, I don't do it, but a will, which specifies what happens to your assets. including your property if it's not already dedicated to someone or beneficiary named on the item itself. Healthcare proxy, if someone can make decisions for you. And one of the most important things is a power of attorney. It allows someone to act for you in case you're incapacitated. And whether you're in the hospital, whether you're in a nursing home or whatever it might be, that power of attorney lets someone conduct business for you. So those 3 items, to see an attorney that specializes in those and prepares that for you makes, there's also trust as well as another option. But, again, that's a little more complicated, but to have those items definitely is a way, once you have this generational wealth, and to make sure it gets transferred efficiently as possible, and that your heirs kind of get the benefit of it without having to whether minimize taxes or minimize delay and expense that your heirs are going to be forced to sustain while, if something happens to you, someone needs to carry that property. And the longer you wait for the courts to get involved, the worse it is. So definitely to plan to have those type of documents is critical.
Actually, could the power of attorney be limited to certain
Sure.
events?
Sure, you can limit it to certain real estate transactions, certain transactions in general. There's a whole category of things that you can limit it to or expand it to. So yes, definitely can tailor it to how you need it. You need to see an expert in that field, as we said earlier, and definitely, again, it's something that's invaluable and really necessary in this day and age.
All right, Dean, on the real estate side, basically, we see this happening a lot, where someone unfortunately passed away and they're dealing with either they're going through probate and whatnot. What's a piece of advice you can give out to the audience right now regarding the situation?
It's never too early to plan. It's like a business partnership. It's like a marriage. It's like anything. Everything is easy to negotiate when everyone's getting along. When everything is frantic and it's harder to negotiate. If somebody in a family passes away, maybe it's sudden also, and nobody's ready for it. How do you divide the assets? Who wants what sibling that we haven't spoken to in 9 years is all of a sudden here, looking, we're looking for something. So just plan it. It's a tough subject, but it's not a tough subject. It's just about doing something right in the future and avoiding a tough subject. And, and that's all. So there's will, trust, and estate attorneys. And there's just family understandings of what should go on, but everybody's got a plan and know what happens in the event, because the in the event always happens at some point.
Indeed. It's never about the money, right?
Oh, never.
It is a tough subject, but guess what? That's what we're here for.
But it has to be had. So
it has to be had. And if you don't have anybody, feel free to reach out to one of us and we can recommend someone. I'm looking to see if we have any other questions. No other questions right now. The other topic usually comes up is divorce. When people are divorcing, whether it's I'm going to leave it open, basically. It could be spouses, it could be siblings, it could be whatever. Family members decide they're done. They no longer want to have that partnership in the home. Anybody want to tackle this?
Again, I guess if you don't mind, I will. I mean, it becomes a legal wrangling without a doubt. So, when there's a divorce involved of a couple, obviously, there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed by the court. And eventually, usually the biggest asset, one of the biggest assets is the home. And that has to be, dealt with. The court will, set the parameters of what happens, whether one spouse gets to stay in the home, it gets to be sold, it has to be sold now, it has to be sold upon, the children attaining a certain age or finishing college. So definitely a huge factor, having, if you go through a divorce, having the court and having the legal papers address what's going to happen with that house. But you'll be surprised how often we have it with family members. We have a deal pending right now with 2 sisters. Can't agree kind of on the same page for things, and it's delaying the closing, certainly hurting both of them, but maybe one more than the other. And they may have transactions that they're trying to step into, meaning they're selling and they need to purchase. And now that's affected by this dispute, just like any business dispute. Having the proper paperwork in order is critical. If you have a business, have a partnership agreement or an operating agreement. Having a property with somebody, you need to make sure that you hold title in a certain fashion, whether you hold it as joint tenants or tenants in common. It's important that those are terms of how it passes down to your heirs or who it passes to. And if you don't have that, to have an agreement between the parties of what happens. If I want to be bought out, will you buy me out? What's the method of valuing the property? Or if a court has to get involved, it gets even more complicated. So getting on the same page is important. If you could do it in advance, like we talked about with the will, planning in advance is always the better way to go.
All right, Joe, same topic, Joe. Now, let's say siblings, spouses, whatever the case may be, they want to refinance, somebody wants to be taken off the will, the trust, not the trust,
Mortgage
the
and deed.
deed and the mortgage, basically. How would they go about that basically in the, if
Right,
they wanted to?
so if somebody is on title and a mortgage, the only way they could come off is they have to refinance the property. And if there's gonna be some consideration, I would have to say that you gotta go to an attorney and get it all ironed out before you do the refinance transaction. Why would someone want to come off of title unless there's some consideration or unless they're just trying to get off the mortgage to buy another property?
All right, Dean, I'm sorry, I cut you off early. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, I want to say something. So there's the legal side and there's the mortgage side and then there's the emotional side. And I feel like when I get involved with warring partners, whether it's a divorce or two siblings, two sisters, it's kind of the same scenario. So what I do with that, and I've had a lot of successes with trying to at least have this transaction be like a peaceful part of it, like the maybe the tightest part of their communication with each other. And I'll ask somebody, like obviously you meet one person first on the phone, however, and I ask them what all their concerns are, what's going on, and then I'll always call the other person or meet with the other party and ask them, hey, listen, your sister said this. I just wanted to see if those are the same concerns that you have. By the way, what are your concerns? And we start opening up this mutual, like overlapping dialogue with each other. And I make sure never to take sides. Like if one spouse hires me or introduces me, I work for both. It's the same. That introduction was a moment in time. The rest of the time is time together. And I never want to forget that when I'm dealing with people, because to me, it's just the best way to make everything smooth. So nobody feels that I'm on this one side or that one side, or I came from here, I came from there. And I try to be this, just the person that
Peacekeeper,
smooths this all over.
the peacekeeper.
Yeah.
The thing I wanted to add on that is pretty much, it's not an isolated incident. It happens a lot, quite often. A majority of our clientele pretty much are going through some kind of separation, whether it's a spouse or if it's, siblings. Many siblings might be involved. Could be one, two, three, or six siblings. Basically, they might be deciding to end their partnership on that particular home. Whatever the situation is, we try to have that conversation with everybody equally. And like Dean said, pretty much what we say to one, we say to all. We do separate messages for everybody, but everybody's getting the same info. Everybody's getting well informed. Their attorneys are getting informed. Their loan officers are getting informed. If they're buying in another state, everybody's in the other state's getting informed. So when you hire us, basically, we do our best basically to keep you informed and everybody else in the loop of what's going on. I'm looking at the time. We're at 7:15, and I'm looking to see no questions so far. But anybody want to add anything basically to our conversation that we're talking about real estate? Any topics you want to you jump into?
Really have any different topics?
No.
We covered
All right. Well, the main thing people are talking about are rates and stuff like that, and tariffs and stuff like that. What's a message that you want to give to people, pretty much of what they need to focus on right now?
I would say if you don't own a home, you gotta do what you have to do to get a home. Because like we were talking about, generating wealth for yourself, I think real estate is a top pick. And if you need a place to live, obviously, that's another reason why you need to look at the market as an opportunity.
Yeah, that's the other thing with, so we talked about investing before. A house is also your home. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a this moment investment, meaning if values are sideways right now, but you want a home and you don't want to rent anymore, you could still get that home. You didn't gain money or lose money or anything until you sell something. That's the same with stocks, with real estate, with anything. So, I mean, if the short term doesn't look right, but you want a home, there's homes available for you. That's where you just might have to be a little bit flexible with what you're looking for, like maybe a townhouse versus a detached house, something like that. Maybe 20 minutes out into Suffolk County versus the end of Nassau County, if you're looking in that direction.
And like you said, Dean, it might not be the market right now today to buy your dream home, but guess what? Your starter home today could be your down payment for your dream home down the road.
Joe, could you say that one more time, please? Louder for the people in the back to hear you.
You want me to start it up like Dean said?
No, that last part that you just said, pretty much this
Right.
about the starter home.
So the starter home you buy today is gonna be your down payment for your dream home that you buy in the future.
All right, that's a beautiful thing. I'm trying to think of another topic that we can talk about that we didn't cover already. Uh, Again, for the people that are watching right now, I do see some questions coming up. If you have any questions, put them in the Q&A. Let's see what we got here.
There's
All right.
usually questions about credit.
Well,
Credit
this
report,
one is
credit
it two?
score.
This is a two-part, and then the second part is about credit. All right, how much approximately should I have to buy a home in the 300s and 400s, and what should my credit be? Whoever wants to tackle this one.
Joe.
I'm gonna say I only need a credit score of 640 to put you in the first time home buyer program. Depending upon where you want to buy, I'm gonna say that 300 to 400 range, you're gonna get a lot of competition. Meaning in the current market that we're at, you're dealing with a lot of buyers and not enough houses. Are we talking about condos or co-ops in that range?
All right, I just sent them a question regarding are they looking to buy in New York or outside of New York? Obviously in New York, that price range, you're probably looking at co-ops, and
Yeah.
the down payment is going to be specific depending on the co-op and location.
And I'm gonna say I could get you in that house with as little as 3% down, $9,000. Unfortunately, co-ops want you to put 20% down.
Some co-ops might be
Now
more,
that
it might be 35.
300,000, you need 60 grand just to talk to them.
Let's not forget we have closing costs also. So the person that asked that question, are you thinking about buying here in New York or outside of New York? Give us a specific area. You don't have to be too specific, but just a general area. A retirement home like a townhouse in South Carolina. All right,
So,
I'm gonna say price range basis should be what you mentioned, should be around that time frame, that time that
so let me
money-wise.
answer that question like this. So if you're working in New York with a job in New York and you want to buy your retirement house now while you have the income and you qualify, we can't do that as a primary residence. Think about it. You're working in New York, you're not commuting to South Carolina every day. So we got to structure the loan as a second home, which
Vacation
requires
home.
10% down. I would like to say primary residence, 5% down. No, it's got to be a second home. And a
Okay.
lot of times people buy their retirement house while they're working because they have the income to qualify.
All right, Joe, you're gonna have a consultation with her. She says she's retiring next month.
Okay,
So we're gonna talk off air basically regarding that.
Okay.
Also for the people who are looking to buy properties in another state, Dean and I have networked with several agents all over the country, outside the country also. So you just tell us specifically where you're looking to move to, a specific town, township, whatever the situation is or the style of home you're looking for. A lot of people who are leaving New York just want one level. They might want a condo. Some places, co-ops are pretty much your thing that you're gonna get. You tell us specifically what you're looking for, basically, and we can connect you to the right agent that's gonna help you find your forever home or your new rental home or whatever you want to call it, basically, stuff like that. Anthony, question for you: real estate, legal stuff. What's like the most common thing that comes up with you with clients, whether there's buying or selling, that's coming up a lot that you're like, all right, you know what, maybe I should address this now.
Well, a lot of people don't understand that on or about language that Dean said. So I know he did a good job explaining it, but New York doesn't have a date certain for a closing. So if you sign a contract today, it's going to have an on or about date, and that is subject to negotiation before you sign the contract. And the parties will pick a date that is the start of that 30-day window. So if I have someone that wants to, leave sometime in August by September 1st, that contract will say on or about August 1st. So sometime between August 1st and September 1st is when the parties are willing and able to agree on a date to close. Now, either side may say they want the opposite end of that spectrum, and there's nothing you can do about it. The seller may say, I don't want to leave until August 31st or the September 1st. And the buyer may say, well, I want to be in August 1st, especially because that's the better rate for me. But unfortunately, that's the meaning of that language, that it becomes very hard to pinpoint a date, as Dean explained. So unfortunately, in New York, we have that window, and we have to work with that with the mortgage lender and the rate, and both parties' needs, the buyer when they need to get in, the seller when they need to get out. So that's something that we speak about. I explain it, and it also comes up. A lot of times once the contract's in place, we tell them that window, they'll go see their loan officer, and Joe will say, or someone will say, listen, I get you a good rate, but you have to close by July 29th. And they'll come to me and say, well, I have to close by July 29th. And unfortunately, while rate is very important, obviously to me and my clients, I want to get them what they want. Contractually, we're limited to that window that we agreed to, 8/1 to 9/1. So I cannot make that seller close early to accommodate your rate. And that's a difficulty of the process, but that is a reality.
How can we even add more days to that process, or more uncertainty, because there's possession agreements. Sellers can't always move out the day of
Yes.
closing.
Yes. And listen, I got to one last thing I tell my clients too. We can have a contract that says on or about August 1st. When September 1st comes, my client will show up and say, well, we had a close today. We didn't do it. One, the contract is over. And the answer is no. The contracts don't just expire. And two, at the end of that 30-day window, if the other party didn't perform, the only remedy is to write a letter demanding they perform on reasonable notice, which is about a 2-week window. So I'd have to write them a letter on September 1st saying, listen, you didn't comply, you need to, you're in breach of the contract. If you don't close by September 15th, you're in default. And, that's another whole story to discuss, but it actually becomes another 2-week window that we're dealing with. So another further complication in the window about rate and timing and moving out, which makes this, a complex situation, but it can be navigated if you do it properly. If you have those discussions early, you plan, the seller knows when they want to leave, the buyer knows when they want to get in, the loan officer knows the rate and how long to lock it, and we make sure the contract is tailored to that situation, which is critical.
All right, we're going to take a quick pause for a second. I'm going to launch a poll. So for those who are watching right now, please answer these questions. They should be popping on your screen. Once you finish answering the questions, then hit end poll. While you're doing that, Joe, give me something that's happening right now, that's a common thing that's happening with your clients that you're seeing that you can easily answer right now. Easy topic for everybody.
I mean, there's a very strong demand for buying a house. The applications are coming in to get pre-approved, but the hardest part right now in New York is actually finding a house that you like, and you're dealing with a lot of other buyers. So like Dean was saying, if you have to go over asking price to get a house, you got to have that extra money in case the house doesn't appraise. That's just the state of reality. I know it's not what people want to hear, but that's what I'm saying right now here in New York.
All right, I'm just waiting for people to wrap up on the poll, and I'm going to end it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dean, talk about what's happening basically as a listing agent, also a buyer's agent, somebody who's selling and buying at the same time. What Joe just mentioned right now, people buying and they have to go over asking to purchase the next home.
All right, so I'm finding on the listing side with sellers, what we're advising them, we show them where the market is, and all the numbers, study the numbers all the time. So we show them all the numbers and try to suggest to people that everyone thinks they want to price high because there'll be some wiggle room. And the whole wiggle room thing we don't need right now, because if you price right, you'll most likely, more often than not, my experience in the last 90 days has been we've been getting over asking price. In some cases, like Evantz, a 11427 house, it was up to $200,000, 200 over asking. And the contract in Brooklyn that you go into next Friday, $250,000 over asking price.
Can I stop you for 1 second? I have the white hairs to prove what he's talking about right now from all the phone calls, all the texts, all the pigeons that were flying through the window basically to get to us. with over asking.
Right, so as a seller, just price at the market and let the market take care of itself. If you, everyone has the internet, it's nothing new. And everybody, we all know how people shop for homes. They start online, they go to Zillow, they go to the websites, they do whatever, and they look at the pictures and flip through the pages. And if everyone's home in a neighborhood is 600,000 and you're going to price yours at 7, you're not going to get the activity. And once it's on the market for 2 weeks, it's now an old listing. And people respond to old listings like they respond to stuff that's not new anymore. It's just they don't want it as much, in a sense. So that's what that thing is. Now, if you're a buyer, the flip side of that is make your highest and best offer and assume you're not getting a counter offer. Just make your best offer. At what price would you be comfortable not getting this home? Ask yourself that. You know, when I work with buyers, I say, well, see what they say. I'm like, they're not going to say anything. They're just not. You know, so just put in your best offer at whatever price you feel you would not be willing to lose that home. And if you're a seller, price it to the market and let the market take care of itself. So both sides, you know, can adapt their thinking a little bit to the offer, you know, the buyers offering low, letting them counter, and the sellers pricing high and giving them wiggle room. Both of those phenomenons are not in play in the market today. That might be different next week, but that's not today.
All right, to dovetail based on what you just said, I'm gonna go back. I keep beating this over the head like a hammer on a nail. You have to come in with your team. If you're buying, if you're selling, you have to have your team. You have to have your consultation with your realtors, with your attorney, with your home inspector, with your loan officer. Everybody, you need to talk to everybody and be prepped before you go out to go look at homes. And if you're ready to sell and you have to purchase, let your agent know that as well. I'm looking to purchase also. It's a conversation that we're going to have. We do this on a regular basis, and we're not going to be surprised by much. Just put everything on the table, give us all the details, and we can give you the options based on what you're telling me. Here's option A, B, C, and D. And then you're going to pick basically what's best for you and your family. All right,
The other thing I want to say is it's very important to work with people that are in the market, like we are in a sense, because we're studying this stuff every single day. Sometimes a phenomenon will happen. Rates will start moving down, or rates will start moving up, or home prices will start moving in one direction or the other. And, you know, ABC News or any news organization gets wind of this. It's already happened. Now they're putting together their team. Now they're talking to people and interviewing them about, it's not like other news. It's like, it's a story that's developing. And as it develops, by the time I hear stuff, it's like, well, that's such old news. That already happened. Because that's what I just said a second ago. That's what's going on now. I don't know what next week is. So it's important to speak to people that are active in the market on a daily basis.
All right, so we're on the winding down phase of this webinar. So I'm going to give each panelist basically a couple of seconds basically to tell us about themselves and what they want the audience to know when they're looking for someone, they're choosing someone to hire in their specific field. So whoever wants to take this one first.
Go first on this one. I'm gonna say, going back to what we were talking about, I would hope that everybody would want to meet in person and see the person and understand where the person is coming from, to see how much knowledge they have, how much experience they have in the industry. Because you don't want to deal with somebody that doesn't have experience. And the one thing that I'm going to say based on the current affairs is, I see a lot of people make offers on houses, and I see a lot of people not get houses, and the ones that get the houses are the people that have experience, that know other agents. Like Dean and Evans have relationships with other real estate agents just because of the course of business on a daily basis. And maybe getting an accepted offer is because they know another agent. Maybe a guy like myself, who's been doing business for 22 years, gives a pre-approval to a listing agent that has a house and says, you know what, Joe, I know you, you've been around and you've had good success in the past. So it comes down to working with people that have experience. That's all.
Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, the good team, we spoke about that, you know, that you need people that care about your situation as well. I mean, again, I'm doing this over 30 years. I certainly have empathy for my clients, what they're going through, what they're buying and selling, the level of the pressures that they have in general, moving, buying, mortgage, getting a rate, getting a loan, getting it approved, closing, the timing of both. So, you know, you need to care about that, yet you also need to know what you're doing. So having an expert that has both, like myself and like all of us here on the panel, is vital to the process. And as Joe said, I can tell you, I had a contract, I got yesterday. I made changes to it. The other attorney, I don't even think looked at it. It's someone that I've worked with many times. I mean, again, the changes I make are kind of neutral to make sure we're all in the same field, playing field, even the field. But, you know, having that reputation where people know you and they trust you, you know, makes the deal easier as well. If I came in as a litigator and trying to fight with the attorney about things that aren't necessary, aren't relevant, aren't important to the transaction, my client may lose that deal. And it happens quite often where, you know, a non-real estate attorney is involved and the deal falls through for many reasons. So again, having a quality team, Joe, Evan, Dean, we all said the same thing. Having a partner that cares about the situation as well goes even further, and that's why we kind of distinguish ourselves. So thank you.
All right, Dean.
I want to, you know, basically just continue that exact thought. You know, I have a lot of empathy for the buyers and sellers, for our clients that are out there. I too have been doing this a long time. I just want the right thing to happen for people. And just because you're selling a home doesn't mean that it's right for you to sell now. Just because you want to buy doesn't mean that it's right for you to buy right now. And that's fine when we're talking. You know what I mean? You have enough business in a sense. It's just not my personality. It's not like anyone that I communicate with or associate myself with. We just all want to help the people out, do the right thing. The only way that I'm doing this for a long time is that I can approach everybody, all my past clients, any one of them. I call them regularly. They can call me anytime. Sometimes we talk about real estate. Sometimes we talk about sports teams and other stuff like that. But it's just about doing the right thing on a regular basis. Nobody needs any one deal. We don't need a deal. What we need to do is do our job properly and help people out and make ourselves available.
And for me, I just want to say pretty much we've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this personally about 14 years right now. And the way I've survived real estate is pretty much I'm open and honest with all my clients. Like Dean said, pretty much everybody on the panel said the same exact thing. We have to make you feel comfortable with the process. We have to show you our knowledge and our expertise in this scenario. And the most important thing to me, I think I speak for everybody, you have to be comfortable with the process of what you're doing, the decision you're about to make. And we give you the options basically, and then you choose which one is best for you and your family for that specific scenario. The other thing I would suggest is pretty much, we talked about teamwork, team building. The most important person in this team is you, the person who's watching this right now, who's thinking, maybe I shouldn't do this, maybe I should do this, maybe, I don't know, maybe I should pick up that phone. Pick up that phone, give us a call. In the chat, I put our contact information. If you would like to have a consultation with any one of us, feel free to reach out. Our contact information is going to be at the end of this video. I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for investing your time. And for the teachers, thank you so much for everything that you do, the things that you're doing and the things you're doing in the future for the future of the next generation and the next generation after that. So just want to say thank you for the teachers. Thank you for everybody who's watching this. All right. So my contact information is 917-975-5985. Dean?
My cell is 516-527-9549.
Anthony?
Same thing. My cell is 516-312-7249.
Mr. Joe?
My cell is 516-455-2157.
All right. Well, I'm Evantz, Saint-Gerard with Team NWE. Just want to say thank you so much for watching this. Thank you for my panel for taking their time out of their schedule to do this as well. And the next step is yours. Pick up that phone. Let's have that conversation. Whether you're going through a divorce, if you're inheriting a property, you're looking to relocate, you're looking to sell, you're looking to buy and sell at the same time. We've heard a lot of scenarios. We can definitely help you. Let's pick up that phone. Let's have that conversation. Book an appointment. Let's talk. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you.